Welcome to Mogul Talk, where wealth and lifestyle converge. We are mindset media dealing with business, social relevance, abundance, lifestyle, and spirituality. This is your time. This is your moment. And this is your host, Ms. Mogul, Charity Smith.
So hello, America, and literally around the world. This is Charity Smith. I am Ms. Mogul. Welcome to Season 2 of Mogul Talk, where we specialize in conversations about business, lifestyle, spirituality, and abundant thinking. This show is brought to you by the Mogul Method. Listen, if you're ready to take your enterprise and your business to quantum leaps of success, business organization, and leadership, I invite you to go to youcancreateyourown.economy.com on February 23rd. We will reopen enrollment at that time. I encourage you to bring your organization. However, if you are a solopreneur and you just want to operate at a higher level of excellence, you too can benefit from this training. Now, we've also brought back our real estate investing classes. That's right. You all have been asking for that material, and it is back. Our enrollment opens on February the 20th, and we encourage you to go and enroll in those classes. It may be a good time also for you to just kind of refresh on some of your strategies. So if you want to learn about vacant land investing, if you want to learn about tax liens, tax deeds, wholesaling, and our personal favorite, rental properties, and how to leverage those in the multiplicity of ways that you can earn income from real estate in that specific strategy, we encourage you to go ahead and enroll during our open enrollment. Now, you all, I am excited about launching this series. This is our series called Our Love. And I just love even how that sounds. It's Our Love. And today's show is about building a legacy of love in relationships. I have a phenomenal couple who will come on in just a few minutes and talk to us about what it takes to have a special kind of love that grows with us and is a timeless kind of relationship. Let me introduce them to you. With faith as the foundation of their relationship, Zarrieff and Valerie Osman are a newly married 2 years in couple with a blended family of 10 children. Hear this, 10 children, 32 grandchildren. Wait a minute, 7 great-grandchildren in what I would call their nation. That's not a family, that's a nation of people. They are global philanthropists in education, economic development, and they share, I believe, more than half a century between them of financial services, acumen, and expertise. But more than anything, I'm delighted to say they are my friends. Welcome to the studio. I'm going to call you all Nana Valerie and Papa Kojo because I honor you as my elders. Welcome to Mogul Talk.
Yes, we're glad to be here.
So glad to be here. What a pleasure and an honor.
Listen, the pleasure's mine. And if you all don't mind, I want you to speak up just a little bit so folks can hear you. We had the pleasure of meeting on a recent trip to Ghana, where I got a chance to see firsthand how you all interact, how you date, how you court, how you love, how you cover each other. And it was the most beautiful expression of love that I have had, I will say, the blessing of seeing in a very long time. But before we get started, I want people to know who we're talking to. Do you mind sharing your ages with us?
Oh, not at all.
I'm 65, young.
Yes, you are.
74, young.
Okay, so here is why I asked you all to share that. First of all, I saw a woman who was, as we say, snatched, absolutely cared, gorgeous from head to toe every day. I saw a gentleman full of energy. We were at a naming ceremony, and I think you'll remember this, Papa Kojo. I was sitting next to you. And during the time you had received your naming in that ceremony, you leapt out of the chair, didn't tell anybody you would go do this, scared the fire out of me, by the way, jumped out of that chair and went instantly into this warrior stance. And I was blown back in the back of my seat like, what just happened here? This ball of energy just whipped past me. And I'm like, what in the world just happened here? But
Yeah.
seeing you all and then hearing your ages and your story, I knew a conversation had to be had between us about what it means to be vibrant and loving and powerful as we get older. So I wanted to ask you a quick question.
Mhm.
How did you all meet? Because it's not every day that this kind of love comes together. How did y'all meet?
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting story, Charity, because we both were in the same business. And both of us had been in business for over 30 years.
Mhm.
And uniquely, we were actually working with the same company, but in different states. And so it had to be an occasion over 32 years ago now that I came back to visit my hometown, which was in Virginia, Roanoke, Virginia. Getting back, one of my childhood friends happened to have been in the same business, but he was working with my wife. At that time, she was not my wife. But so he said, look, I want you to come by and see the office where I'm working from. Okay, so we got in his car, we rode around. He introduced me to her. She was on the phone when I came in. And he said, this is my vice president, and this is my childhood friend. So he introduced me to her. So she's on the phone, and we kind of nod and, shake hands. And so she steps the phone away from her ear, and we exchange greetings. That was a 10-minute encounter. I was married at that time for 20 years or better. She was married at that time for 10 or 15 years, whatever. So there was just a casual business greeting. That was it. We never spoke to each other after that. And 30 years later, my situation had changed because that wife I was married to for 34 years had passed. I was 6 years into being single again.
Mhm.
Not happy about that because, I'm the married mankind,
I
not the
hear you.
single mankind.
We're going to talk about that too. Yes, sir.
So at that point, I was on websites looking for suitable mates, and her picture came up. I said, oh, she's single? Because I never knew she had divorced at some point. And so because of that, I called our company to ask for her office address. At the time, they couldn't give it to me because I said, I'm looking for her in a city called Roanoke, Virginia. They didn't have her listed that way. They had her listed in Charlotte, North Carolina. So they said, well, we don't have her. I go to Google. When I put her name in Google, then it shows up that it has the same office address I thought she was at in Virginia, but it gave me a cell number.
He was on a mission.
So
I'm getting to that part.
that was a Saturday. And on that Saturday, about 3:00, I'm in Kansas. She's in the East Coast, so there's an hour difference. But I'm calling on the phone, her business phone, on Saturday, 3:00, prepared to leave a message. So I have my voicemail script ready.
Come on.
So when I call the number, she picks up the phone. So apparently she had her phone directed to her cell phone. She happened to have been at a concert outdoors with her daughter.
Hmm.
So when I introduced who I am, she could not hear me well. So she thought I was a client. And so she says, I can't hear you. Call me back because I'm at a concert right now and I'm not able to really hear you clearly.
Mhm.
And so she couldn't make it out. She's thinking I'm a client to call back. So in any case, I made note. I thought she meant call me back 9:00 Sunday morning. She meant 9:00 that night.
Mm.
So I'm waiting till 9:00 the next day because remember, I had a prescribed script that I was going to leave on the voicemail. I didn't expect a live answer.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't tell you he hung up when I answered. He didn't tell you that.
Yeah.
Well,
I hung up right and called back. Okay. Let the record show because it was, oh my goodness, click. And okay, she's answering.
funny.
All right, so I'm going to call right back. And then that's when we get that conversation. But needless to say, she called me at 9:00 Saturday night. that was the difference in our understanding.
Mm-hmm.
I understood 9 a.m. because when you had a concert outdoors, you're ready for the next day. So anyway, that was my first introduction to her. She calls me back that night. Then we're able to engage and talk. And I say to her, and I'll let her tell you what we discussed when I talked.
Okay. So when we got on the phone, I'm like, okay, I'm thinking it's a business referral, so we make referral. And then so he says, I'm not calling about business. He told me he was, widowed and whatnot. And he said, I'm looking for a wife and you're the one. And I'm like, huh? I said, well, it threw me for a moment because this is.
Wait, did you see me laying there like, oh?
But this is why it threw me, because July 4th, I prayed earnestly to the Creator for a husband.
Yes.
And he called me on July 5th. See, my mindset is that I'm giving my whole life over to you. I'm moving out the way because I have not been good at this. And I want you to choose. I said, there's got to be one man in this world that you have from me. And I was specific when I talked to the Creator about what I wanted: a praying man, a man who loves family, a man who understands me, a man who will treat me like a queen, I can treat him like a king, a man that we can work with, blending our family, business minded. And this is the response on July 5th. So when we talked, now this story gets deep, so let's clarify this.
Come on.
So when he talked to me, his first wife, I'm gonna get the first wife, not the one that passed. His first wife and I are good friends. Did not know him because she was married to someone else. People will say, oh, this is sordid. It's not sordid. This is grown folk stuff.
Come on with it.
Wife, and I are still loving sisters and good friends. Their two sons grew up with my daughters. They never heard anything bad about him, never anything like that. And so when he approached me, I said, now, wait a minute. The first thing I need to do, I said, I need to talk to her out of respect. I know she's not, you all don't make those decisions, but she's my good friend. I want her to know I didn't go looking for you. You came looking for me. And I said, and he said, well, I know her, and I'm going to call her because I know she'll be okay with it. Well, he called, of course, and she doesn't live up maybe 10 minutes from where I lived in Roanoke. So I got in my car and went to see her.
Wow.
She said, oh, this will be a perfect match. This is wonderful. This is the Creator bringing this together. And so from that point, I knew that this was divine order. And I told him, I said, now listen, we never saw each other until a special moment. So we would talk several times a day. I said, but when we talk, we must pray together. Right. When we talk, I said, and we're going to talk at least 3 times a day. We did that. So let's speed this up. So then from that point, okay, that was on July 5th. My birthday is August 27th, but my daughters gave me a surprise brunch, not a surprise, but a brunch on the 25th of August with my sister friends, just my inner circle sisters. And I want to say this to women, that we can be sister friends to uplift one another. When our crown is tilted, we just say, sister, put your crown back in place. Don't undercut the sister. We're here to support. We are our sister's keeper.
Yes,
and
we are.
Close inner group came together. And from that, I didn't know there was going to be a special guest, but I know my daughter set me a certain way and everything. And I was showing, I had my phone. I told my sister, I said, this is the man that, I've been seeing, talking to, whatever. And he comes to the door with a dozen pink roses, singing happy birthday. We were in a real swank restaurant, and everybody in the restaurant knew what was going on. I'm like, did I see a ghost come out the phone? So long story, let's speed the story up. So anyway, he comes in the door singing happy birthday. This is the first time we physically saw each other and to physically touch. Yeah. When I say, I mean to actually hug. And so he said, he put a gift bag on the table, a gift bag. He said, go open your gift bag. I go open the gift bag. I turn around. He's on his knee with the ring proposing. Because see, in that, I knew that this was the Creator. He knew it. And he sent me the most beautiful prayer. Thank you, the Creator, for a wife. And I was like, blown away. I said, when you ask, because let me just back up. My father, my stepdad, which I call my father, he passed at 95 in 2017. But he told me this. He said, you have been so good to your mother and I. He said, I've already talked to God. He's going to send you your person. He said, well, we can accept this yes and no, but wait. He said, the wait is when you're getting ready. He's preparing you for the man that's coming. He said, but he's coming. And so long story short, he came. Okay, so that was the 25th of August. We did a conference call because children are in one state, another state.
Right.
And so they
And
were
it's quite an extensive family.
yes.
Yeah.
And I said, you're gonna handle the conference call, because see, when they got on the call, it got kind of quiet. He told them what was going on, that we were getting married on September 5th.
In the same year.
This is the same year. This is not
Okay.
of 2019. This is not like, see, when a man knows, a man knows. So when you waiting 6, 7 years, 10, 20 years for somebody to marry you, and you still, my grandma said, and I apologize, I keep it real. Why milk the cow if you can get it for free? She said, why milk the cow if you can get it for free? And so with that, he proposed, and we, September 5th. And here's the thing, the children couldn't make it because it was like last minute. So we said, well, we still going on. And it was divine order, because if we had not done it then COVID clicked in, because we had planned a big celebration for the family to come together. But let me tell you about divine order. Please. The children, some of our children met before we had a chance to actually talk, because of circumstances. My daughter worked at Howard at University at the time, and then his granddaughter was going to Howard, and they connected with his daughter, one of his daughters, which are now my daughters, because I love them all. They are all my family. Yeah. And so with that, they met, and then it's just like the Creator, he just blended everybody together. God will do it. When he does it, it's so powerful. It's no struggle. It's no trying to put a square in a round hole. He did it. He put us together, and it's been, the family's been, and we truly love each other. So we got married, and our minister that married us just passed, but it was such a beautiful ceremony. Close friends came that could come, and it was just wonderful. And then what happened when we relocated to where we are in Charlotte, North Carolina, March 1st, then COVID struck. So we were in. So we got to know each other really well, because it was just the two of us. Right. And so we have a daughter that lives in my biological daughter lives in Charlotte. And so it's just been, this is divine order. Nothing could work like this.
See, here's where I want to jump in. And I want to make this point, and then we're going to go to our first commercial break. It's something that was said at the beginning of this discourse. Papa Kojo, one, you prayed. Yes. And you knew what you wanted.
That's right.
Secondly, I heard you say, Nana, you prayed. Mm-hmm. You knew what you wanted.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's been the part that has been missing in the cohesion of our unions. Mm-hmm. It's being really clear about what we want. And it was something I said in another series, is that our love looks different. And it's time for us to embrace that, how we love each other, how we talk to each other, our colloquialisms, our phrases, even how we just interact with each other on a daily basis. It's very different. But when we become clear about what we want and we take it to the Creator, then we're open to his best coming to us in the form of that. And I'm not going to say partner, because that partner thing can be taken so many other directions. I'm going to call it husbands and wives. That's what he calls it. Yeah. And the bringing together of that union is so important. Listen, believe it or not, we're almost at 20 minutes in. I want to take this first commercial break. Yeah. And by the way, y'all, if y'all don't know, these are some talkers, and I can sit and listen to them all day long. It's so much that I'm gleaning, but I know it's so much that our audience is gleaning as well. Yeah. We're going to take this first commercial break. When we come back, I want to talk to you all about how do we preserve intimacy as we get older. I'm not necessarily looking for the physiological part. We know health has a lot to do with that. Yeah. But I'm talking about the mental part. Why at 70 plus or 60 plus were you all even praying for a spouse? What does that look like? Yeah. So we're going to talk about that after we take this first commercial break. Stay tuned.
All right.
Welcome to Mogul, the place where business, lifestyle, and possibilities collide. Hello, my name is Charity Smith. I'm Miss Mogul. I'm a business leader, global speaker, trusted economic development strategist, media personality, author, advocate, and lioness mom. We're taking you next door and around the world, conversing with business leaders about the news of the day, emerging business trends, and introducing your family to possibilities that will help you live life to its fullest. Listen, we're really excited about our special interest stories, where we connect you with authentic faith, spirituality, and abundant thinking. Tune in right here, streaming live on this platform or on a mobile device near you. And listen, don't forget to subscribe to this show and discover the mogul in you. We're excited to connect with you, and we'll see you streaming live right here. And we are back. Now, before we went to break, you all told us the beautiful, and see, here is where I want to challenge all of the sisters and the brothers who may be listening. This isn't a fairy tale. Yeah. You know, we were trained as little girls in a very, I would say, Eurocentric ideology about love. We're the damsels in distress and we're waiting for our knight in shining armor. But what Nana Valerie didn't tell you is that she had a very flourishing, full career prior to meeting Papa Zarrieff. He's had a full career, life, hobbies, all of this before coming together. So there wasn't any waiting for fulfillment. The fulfillment was already there. It was the coming together of purpose. Yeah. And I believe that's the part that faith plays in it. But I want to speak now to generations who may be looking at growing older with their spouse. Mm-hmm. And they may be thinking affection isn't important at this stage. I mean, we've been together 40 years. Why I need to hold your hand now, you know, or we've been together 60 years. What I need to care about, you know, all of that stuff that I'm going to say that I've heard in conversations with friends and just observing. Somewhere along the line, it seems that the intimacy wasn't as important. Tell us why that's a myth, first of all, and then how do we regain it and keep it as we get older?
Yeah. Well, if I can, I'd say that for men in particular,
please.
The first thing is that you have to close some windows. See, in our experience in America, the Black male is probably we're hunted, we're discriminated against. You know, we bear the brunt of media's version of who they want the world to think we are. And so our response to that all the time, a lot of time, is negative behavior. And so, you know, we're uncommittal in relationships, first of all, because either we have not seen committed relationships around us, in front of us. Now, this only started around 1970. Prior to 1970, if you look at the Black community, census data tells us that there were more African-American families that had husband and wife living domiciled together with children than with white families. The divorce rate was higher in white families before that than we. So since that time, we have thought ourselves, the more women that we got, the more manly we are. That's, again, a myth. But it's a myth that is being portrayed out on the streets of America with our men. And so unless a man can come into spirituality to recommit to spiritual behaviors, no matter what the faith choice might be, because 99% of faith is saying you're committed to a man or a woman to create families to please God. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I think that's been the observation that I have. If we model good relationships, model relationships will follow that example. It's what the old folks would say, we don't teach it, you catch it. It becomes a part of you because that's your reality. So I had a conversation with my son, who is the second oldest. This year, he'll be 48. He has 5 children. He has 3 grandchildren. He says, and when he was probably 3 years old, he used to love to go to my dad's house, his grandfather, and he would get over behind grandpa in the bed when grandpa was laying down. He just wanted to be close to him. And he said his grandmother would come in, my mother, and she would attend to him. And he said, I watched grandma and grandpa, how their relationship was. They were married 56 years before they passed. And so he caught that. He said, I always wanted to be married. So again, what our young men get to see and why we become these animals that want to go out and have 8 or 10 women, and we are non-committal because we don't want to be married to nobody, and we always want, that is something that Western culture channeled us into. And so we have to break that chain now and learn as men that our culture allows us to see that committed relationships are foundational.
Yes, sir.
They're therapeutic.
Yes.
And our sociological growth, because the children that are watching us are going to model us. And so these are the small reasons why when you saw your grandfather married to your grandmother 30, 40, 50 years, my sister just lost her husband and they were married 54 years. She's 75.
Longevity in relationships.
Longevity, it's a repetition.
And the quality of life. Statistics tell us that happily married couples, as they grow older together, have a better quality of life. Sickness and mental health are abated more. There's something about being in a happy relationship that generates a newness physiologically every day.
Yes.
You can grow older together peacefully. There's something that regenerates, and only the Father knows what that is and how all of that works. But there's something about growing older together that, I like the word that you said, Papa Kojo, it's therapeutic. I will even say it's medicinal.
Yes.
For mental health, for spiritual health, for physical health. It really is. But I want to hear the female perspective now. What is it about growing older that some of our women have forgotten the affection or the tenderness of being a woman? How do we keep that, though, as we get older?
Well, I feel
by the way, as you are sit here with your crown on, tilted to the side and holding it, by the way, come on with that. And see, this is why I bring that up. You model it. You are absolutely stunning sitting here next to Papa Kojo, who is absolutely dapper. But I'm asking these questions, but we have the visual. The beauty, why is that important? And then how do we keep our affection as we get older? Why do we need to keep our tenderness and our femininity as we get older?
Well, I've got to go back to the crown. My mother, who's now not with me anymore, she was a milliner. She made hats for 54 years.
Wow.
And my stepfather, Reverend Scott, he was a minister. And my mother, this is my mother's hat she made, as a matter of fact, I'm wearing. And so I saw them, you know, how he treated her like a queen. But this was modeled in front of me. He opened her door. My husband opens my door when I get in, opens my door for me when I get out. So, you know, I just want to give a small example. We can, as women, we've worked so hard and we do, but I find a lot of women get into relationships and they stay too long without commitment. And you know, you have to love yourself before anybody else can love you. Yeah. And you know, the thing with, I made a decision. No, God, when he made Noah's Ark, he said 2. He said everything in pairs. He meant for us to have a
That's
mate.
good.
He meant for us to have a mate. And so with that, when I expect to be treated like a lady. See, this women's lips thing came in. And when that came in, I've never been a women's lipper. Yes, you're going to open my door. And I told my daughters, don't you have nobody coming to my house blowing the horn, but they got to come in the house so I can see who this is and introduce themselves to me. And I'll give you one quick example of that. I was at a door entering the building. A young African-American man walked up, and I also did it with a Caucasian gentleman too. But I'm standing at the door. He's standing there. So we just standing there. I said, so when are you going to open the door? Oh, he said, I'm so sorry. I said, young man, anytime you have a queen that walks in front of you, it could be a little girl, you reach for that door. I said, because I know that your mother told you. He said, yes, ma'am, I just forgot. Don't forget that. Give me my honor, and I'm going to give you your honor that's due. So I feel like that, you know, loving ourselves is so key in all of this. Now let's go to, I want to talk about the intimacy, because people often mistake intimacy as just the act.
Sexual part. It's not only sexual.
It has to be that. And see, it has to be more than that, because as you get older, body changes, health changes. Then what do you have? See, intimacy to me is laughter. It's the touching. It's the compliments. It's the going out. We date each other. We act. If somebody said there's no such thing as a date night, let's just call it our special day that we reserve to go out. But now with COVID, we'll go get a carry out or come in, or we may fix something together or do something. But we make it where we laugh a lot. We laugh an awful lot. We pray. We start our day off with prayer together, because I believe that the Creator don't leave the marriage, and it's two sides to a pancake. We put him out, and we put him out. That's when the problem comes in, whether you single or whatever. And here's another thing that I thought about.
What's wrong with it?
And I heard somebody, I think it might have been our Yellow Man son. Somebody said it on a program. They said that, have you ever thought about when you divorce that your children sometimes don't get to see the mother and father in the same environment together? Mm-hmm. And I thought about that. I said, oh my God, that's so true. So what we have done in this relationship, not trying to forge it, we have grown. I tell you, our grown folk stuff coming on.
Come on.
I have a father. I was married to him 20 years. He has children. We all get together. As a matter of fact, my children's father and his wife came to visit. Yeah. We all had dinner together. Why can't we do that? You have to close the door on baggage, dragging all that old stuff. It's just dragging you down. Here's the crux of it. It's forgiveness. When you forgive, you have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive whatever happened, so you can move on. Without forgiveness, you just keep that stuff buried. And then you drag it on and drag it into another situation. That's not, when you forgive, you free yourself. And so with intimacy, freeing your mind, freeing yourself, and no, this is my partner. You are my ride and die. You are my ride. We just came through COVID. We were both sick, very sick at the same time. The Creator gave me strength to get up. I said, I'm not going to I got to get up to continue to fix stuff to help him, because I said, somebody got to move forward. But we came through it, and our community that we worship in was so phenomenal to us. Something was at our door every day. The neighbors, something, that's food, right. Everything, medicine, whatever was at our door every day. So here's another thing. The way you treat people is how you get treated. My grandma told me to close your hand at 10. She said, close your hand. I said, what is she talking about? Nothing goes out and nothing goes in. But if you extend it, you can give so you can receive.
That's right.
So you all so let's recap all of that into something, because I don't want listeners to miss. You all are just kind of littering the fertile ground with these jewels and these pearls of wisdom, because you lived it. I think you're just throwing it out, but I want to make sure people hone in on what you're saying. You talked, Papa Kojo, about real manhood, understanding the importance of commitment, whether you 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, it's commitment to the relationship, commitment to the Creator first, but then commitment to the relationship. And you brought in how it's important that we model it. Yeah. Our children see so many expressions of who we are, and not all of them we have control over, but what happens in the home, we have control over.
That's right.
And so I love how your son was able to see a generational expression of love. I'm gonna call your daddy Pawpaw for the sake of honoring him. Pawpaw is in the bed where Granny comes in the room and she cares for him. And the old school ladies used to run the bath water. I don't know what that's about, but I'm asking questions. But she took care of him, and he's able to see that. But then he goes home to his daddy, who then cares for his wife. Yes. Fast forward, now he has a paradigm of what commitment looks like.
Yeah.
And as his 5 children are growing up, I see a legacy now developing of what commitment and love look like. Fast forward, or I should say, go to the side here. Well, we talked to you, Nana Valerie, self-love and self-care.
Yes.
What I've heard you say in so many words is that doesn't leave just because we get older.
That's right.
How we care for ourselves, how we care for ourselves physiologically, how we interact with people, even as we get older. And I'm going to say this. Some of the most bitter women I saw were older women. Mm-hmm. And don't put it in, and I'm going to get some backlash, but y'all send the comments, I can take it.
It's the truth. Particularly
in the church, my church. And there was just this bitterness about getting older. And I think some of it was the teaching, because we wanted to be so close to God and we wanted to do the right thing, we didn't have all the right information. I'll say it that way. And not everybody had a sage and the opportunity to come and sit before an elder and have these conversations. So as they got older, there was a bitterness that may have erupted, and it went on generationally. And so then you get the manifestation of the angry Black woman, put the women's lib movement on top of that, where now she's told she don't even need marriage or a man. Right. And if you, and don't let, I'm on my soapbox, but then you got the government that steps in and says, oh, you don't need to be married. We'll educate your children. We'll provide housing. Y'all read what I'm saying? We'll provide food stipends. We'll provide all of this. Oh, no, you don't need a man. So you already have a root of bitterness. You already have a women's lib movement that says that marriage and the institution of marriage is archaic and we don't need it. And then you have a government, a liberal government that comes in and says, well, since you're not married, we're going to cover you and that we'll educate your children. We'll house you. And so to have the opportunity to have another truth, because that's what they put up here, but to have the truth sitting before us saying, no, men commit. Real men, and I heard you call them animals, they have 6, 7, 8 wives. Real men commit.
Right.
Kings, let me say it that way. Kings commit. Is that good?
Yes, right. That's it.
That's right.
Queens look for commitment.
Yes.
I heard you say expect commitment.
That's right.
It's something I told my daughter because I've been having this conversation with her, and y'all had the opportunity to meet my little bitty baby and my little king that I'm raising.
Yes.
And so I have these conversations with her now about femininity and what the power of femininity looks like and the expectation. She said, Mommy, when I was sitting with my friends, my guy friends cover me. One time she had called a lift and the lift didn't come up, but one of her guy friends came and said, okay, well, don't worry about it. I'll take you home. And she said he stopped because she stopped at the car door. Come on, going back to training.
Right.
Training.
Yes.
From passing us down. She stopped at the door and he knew to open the door.
That's
and
right.
she said she got in, they had a wonderful conversation. He walked her to her apartment door, opened the door because she stood there and waited. And I said, Kari, your posture and your position awakened expectation in him and responsibility. He knew how to respond because you carried yourself properly. And then she started talking about dating. Well, Mommy, guys are not really asking me to date. I said, baby, the jury that's on clearance is the one that's at the front.
Yes, that's right.
The real jewels you have to have an appointment for to go to the vault to the back.
Right.
That's right.
And I said, give it 5 years. The same boy that's dating all the girls now will come to you in 5 years when he's looking for a wife and say, I saw you.
That's right.
Because he know. And so that brings me, that brings me to my next question. I'm going to take one more commercial break, but I want to come back and ask y'all this. Are husbands and wives made? And if so, how do we prepare to sit in the place of a husband or a wife? Because listen, a lot of these folks have been intimate with, were not husbands and wives. And that's why we see so much brokenness. So when we come back from this next commercial break, I want to talk to you elders. How do we prepare? Because the Bible says that Esther prepared herself for over a year to go, or Hadassah, however you want to call it, prepared herself to go before the king. She had to be ready to meet him. He had to have an expectation of her as well, which brings in preparation. So I want to talk to y'all about how do we become the husband and the wife. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
All right.
Are you ready to break out and break through? Wait no longer. Charity Smith, known as Ms. Mogul, has created a breakthrough course and mastermind called the Mogul Method for multidimensional leaders wanting to harness their creative power and release their next big idea, transforming their performances, culture, and leadership. A highly sought-after media personality, business and transformative leader, Ms. Mogul enraptures her audience, taking them on a journey of personal and performance discovery with laughter, candor, a biting wit, and over 20 years of business acumen and leadership. Go to www.youcancreateyourown.economy.com now. to awaken the mogul in you.
And we are back. Before we went to break, you all shared a treasure trove already about what it takes to expect longevity. It starts with commitment. It starts with expectation. And we only have 20 minutes in the show. So I already know I'm probably going to run over a couple of minutes because it's important to me that we hear what you all have to say. But I want to talk now about the preparation of being a husband and a wife. We know, or let me say it this way. What I believe is that a husband and a wife are exclusive. I personally do not adopt the ideology of polygamy or open marriages or all of that other stuff that has now come to define what a marriage is. I personally believe that a marriage is the union of a man and a woman for a lifetime. Now, some people will think with my age that's archaic, but I have my right to my opinion too, and that's what I hold. So I want to speak to that because I believe that's where we started. That's the original intent. But how do men become husbands, Papa Kojo? And then Nana Valerie, how do we become wives? Because if that's the case, that means my ministry, my effort, my best comes to either my husband or my wife. But how do I prepare for that? Whoever wants to take it.
Well, I think it's important to understand historically how we came to have a condition we have where our men are uncommittal. And I go back to that indicator that in the American government engineered our situation. So in the 1930s, the 1920s, when America wanted to settle and populate the Western territories in the United States, they offered those who would move to migrate out west, claim the land, we'll grant you the land, you just need to work the land. If you'll do that, we'll provide the equipment you need, the seeds you need, the implements to give you a start under the Homestead Act. Those were white Americans. Many of them leaving the South, poor people and other places. My point though there is, it did not require the man to separate from the wife. It did not require the man to be married to the wife, but because the provisions were there by the federal government so that you would stay together, grow together, build a family, and so forth.
That's where generational wealth comes in, by the way. I'm just throwing that in there. That's how we get generational wealth.
That land was the foundation of their generational wealth given to them freely. Mm-hmm. All they had to do was be willing to go and work. By the 1950s, at the end of World War II, America's bright idea, remember, we were in the African-American community, husband and wife, children. We might have had 6 kids living in 3 rooms, but we were together.
We were together.
And we didn't have dad was working, mom was working, maybe staying in the home and working, doing both. Kids were responsible. They had to go to Sunday school, church, or worship service. You had to be clean. You had to wash. You had to do all the things with what you had. That's a requirement. Foundationally trained in the home, not in TV, not through a program someplace. You were learning these ingredients in your home. America decided welfare was the way to separate the black man from the black woman. When the welfare program in America came about, black men could not stay in the home, excuse me, unless they were married and could show evidence they were married to that woman. He was in the home working with her. They hadn't married yet, but they had 3 kids already. He was working as a man and a provider to be able to get married to her. But America's government says you got to leave the home. You can't stay in the home. So it took from it didn't require that for those out in the West, but it made that for all of us in cities, towns, and counties around America. So that separation of man and woman, that was the foundation of the community to build a husband in the home working. That's the difference in being a husband and being a male. A male can produce children, but a husband is there to take care of them.
Yes, sir.
A husband is there to provide for the wife. A husband is there to take his responsibility. A husband doesn't mind working more than one job, because if you love your family, that's just a part of expressing your love. that you don't want her to have to work 2 jobs. You want her to be in the home, teaching the children, showing them how to maintain a home and family life, being able, when you come home from your second job, there's a meal on the back of the stove that you can have that meal before you take your rest. That's what built our wealth that looked differently than others. The government didn't come in and give us land, didn't come in and give us implements to work the land and so forth. So these are the differences. So now how do we teach our males to be husbands and men? How do we teach them to want to be husbands?
Please.
And not call our women babes.
Yes.
This is a terminology that keeps separation and division going.
Yes.
And remember, the welfare system elevated the black woman over the black man.
It did.
Created a matriarchal society. So our knowing this helps us to defend against that happening in the future. So we have to now know that. I asked my son, I said, well, what does man mean? He said, well, you know, man means a lot of things, Dad. He said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, you're not a man until you can take care of yourself and somebody else. If you can't take care of yourself and somebody else, you're not a man, you're just a male. And so these are the conditions that our men or young men have to want to take care of somebody else other than themselves. They're not looking for a woman to take care of them. That's the paradigm that America wanted us to stay in.
Right.
We want to look for the welfare woman's check.
Wow.
We want to look for Susie's check, Brenda's check, Janice's check, because we're not men at that point. We're just males. And so I think that today we have to have men strong enough. And you won't be able to do this without a spiritual connection. I promise you. I promise you.
Yes, sir.
You read everybody's book. You can go to seminars.
Yeah.
But until spiritual and faith consciousness enters you and becomes a part of you, then you have the desire to want to please a woman, to want to take care of a woman, to want to take care of your and her children, to want to be a father, to want to be a leader, to want to be an advisor to the children of the relationship and even the community. That's the village principle.
Yes, it is.
We need to be able to recognize how important that is for us. If we do, we will grow in spite of ourselves, and we will grow in spite of other things that will try to prevent us from growing healthily, because that's a healthy growing relationship in family.
Absolutely. Wow. Nana.
Yes.
How do we prepare to be a wife? What's the mindset? What's the heart place? I know that I heard you say that you started this in prayer, and I hear that theme resonating between the two of you. Papa Kojo has said, you know, a man provides for not just himself, but his wife. He's exclusive with her. He provides for her children, but we've got to have, or he has to have, a foundation in his faith, in his, what Papa Kojo called his spiritual consciousness, in order to see even the capacity. And I would even think, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, Papa, that some men may not even know if they even have the capacity to do all of that because of narratives they may have bought into. And that's why it's so important they have that spiritual connection so that they know what they're truly capable of, the God part of them.
Oh, yeah.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
But Nana, Valerie, how do women prepare to be a wife, to be exclusive? And I'm going to throw in there too, because I love what Papa Kojo kind of resonated on, is how society has attacked our Black men with Now, am I against promotion and elevation? Absolutely not. No. We work hard, we're educated, we invest in ourselves to be who we are.
That's right.
Not at the detriment of our men, right? Not at the angst or the ability of looking down on them and all of that crazy stuff without getting onto that. So how do we now shed those ideologies and see the value in our men? How do we prepare to be wives? And how do we keep that cohesion together and work in tandem with him and not compete with him?
Right. And the thing you said so much in what you want me to respond to, and Because it really is powerful, because what has happened is saying that has happened to men has shifted to women. We're people saying, and I've heard so many women say, I don't need a man. Okay, I can do bad by myself, or I can get it on my own. Yes, I was by myself for quite some time, and I could take care of myself. But this is what I found. I was already a happy person. I couldn't get somebody to make me happy. They could add to my happiness, but I will not allow them to detract from my happiness. And when you're by yourself for a long time, it becomes that thing of independence. And so in order to become in a relationship, to get married, you have to be willing to relinquish, let me go through, relinquish the independence so you can become interdependent. I didn't say relinquish who you are. I didn't say give up who you are. But when you come together and you truly want to be in a marriage, you've got to understand that it's no longer I operate my way and I'm gonna do what I want to do without considering there are two people here. And so first of all, you got to want to be married. You got to understand that in a marriage, you got to have a religious, spiritual base. Without that, without the Creator in our life, we couldn't make it. And so with understanding that that's where it comes from, and on my journey, just to share with you what I did, maybe it'll answer the question. I decided, and as I said earlier, I couldn't do this on my own. And I said, I'm in my prayer, if you don't bring him, I'm okay with being by myself if that's what you have for me. But I'm not going to do all these other things that just to get somebody. I'm going to give myself totally to you and wait for you to send them. I prayed to have a man sent to me. He prayed to find a wife, and that's what happened. He was sent to me and he found me. So I'm saying to women is that in this situation of, it's the mindset. What are you thinking? If you're going into a marriage and you're still going to do what you want to do and you're independent, I didn't say, be clear. I didn't say Zarrieff doesn't demand. We discuss, we talk about things. Okay, babe, what do you think about this? That we have financial meetings, we have spiritual meetings. We come together on things. When two going two separate ways is nowhere. But when two are equally yoked and go in the same direction, it is a powerful movement. It really is. And some people also said that being married is a business decision. Yes, if you look at it, it's a business merger. And not all time, if you meet somebody in three months, there's not immediate, oh, I'm so in love with you. See, that love, you got to understand, love grows with time. It grows with time. And love is a word that's so loosely used. I love you. What's the meaning to that? Do I love you when you are not looking the way you did when we first came to the marriage? Now, I didn't say, sisters, let yourself go. No, my mom, you should always keep yourself up. I taught my daughters, get your massages, get your nails, to do whatever you got to do. Keep yourself and your mind. I always had a life for myself, because in one day the children are going to leave. Then where are you? I have a life. And one of my granddaughters on my side, she's 22. She said, "Oh, Grandma, I love the way Papa, they call him Papa Z. Okay. He treats you, so it's the modeling, because we truly care about one another. But you got to have a merger. A marriage is a merger of two people blending into one. And that's what it takes, is relinquishing yourself and giving it to the Creator. Some people say, oh, they're so religious, they're so spiritual. I tried it on my own. It didn't work for me, sisters. I tried it on my own. It didn't work. Only when I gave myself over and asked for the man that I needed. And so as a woman, you got to know who you are. Get in touch with yourself. My dad, as I said before, we can accept yes, no, and wait. What are you doing with the waiting period? Are you increasing your mindset? Are you looking at who you are? Are you looking at where you're going? What are your goals and dreams for yourself? What do you want to achieve? And then you talk, that person that comes, you blend those together. We talk about our goals and dreams. Even at this age, we still got goals and dreams. Yes. Yeah. Right. We're not dead yet. We got things we want to do for these 32 children, grandchildren, and 10 children and great grand. So that's what I have to offer. I don't know if I answered everything you wanted me to answer.
You did, and then some.
Okay, well,
preparation comes with a desire, one, to be married and have that model.
Yeah.
Two, it comes with prayer. And I love what you said, kind of in a roundabout way. The preparation of yourself.
Yes.
Self-care, making sure that your mind First of all, and I go to scripture because that's what I lean on.
Mm-hmm.
The Bible calls the woman, and again, this conversation isn't for everybody. Everybody will hear, but only those who are meant to hear will hear.
Mm-hmm.
But scripture tells us about the woman being the help meet
Yes.
of a man. So in order to have a help meet, she's got to have something to meet him with. Yeah. So that comes with acumen and experience and education and self-care and physical care, making sure, how are you able to get up when you're sick and take care of Papa Kojo and vice versa? Mm-hmm. There was already a regimen of physical self-care that helped you get through all of that. You didn't talk about your water aerobics every week and how you stay in that, and I don't know if Papa Kojo work out or not, but you lift an iron or something. You're doing something over there.
Yeah.
But there is this understanding of, one, what's required, commitment, submission to the Father first, but then commitment. Right. We want to see this all the way through. You all didn't use those words, but that's kind of what I'm hearing while you're talking. We mean to be here to see it through, to be the emotional support, the spiritual support, the financial support, sometimes the corrective support that's needed. Whatever is needed, we're here for it. Listen, in our closing, we're at the end of the show. We literally have 5 minutes, and I could spend 5 more hours talking to y'all, and I would if I could.
Yeah.
But how do we, in closing, create a legacy of love? Yeah. How do we take what we've learned here about commitment, and I would say servant leadership, right? Yeah. And even in the home, there's a servant leadership that happens where you give and take and give and take. And then the affection, the touch, the hugging, the intimacy. How do we create a legacy of love, and how do we give it to the next generations? In closing.
Well, I think very quickly, I'll say we have to learn to allow our children to take responsibility for doing something in the community that they volunteer to do, not that they get paid to do. And I think those things help them to recognize that there is a need to give, and the process of receiving is to give first. And that's the principle, to forgive, right? In other words, for us to receive forgiveness, you have to forgive first.
Oh, now that was good.
That's the 4. So if you don't forgive yourself, others, society, take action and responsibility based on that forgiveness. Now, when you do, expect the Creator to bring to you that which is good for you and good to you. And so when children become conscious in the society, they have to take part in something. In my generation, it was being in a civil rights sit-in at 14. But that may or may not exist today. It may be Black Lives Matter today. It may be something that stirs your consciousness to do some research, have a purpose, an aim, and a goal in that. Now, when you come back to relationships, you're looking for authentic people. People who can say, well, I care about this. To the extent I can tell you about it, because I care about it. When you have people that are authentic with each other, the relationship will be authentic because they have experiences that show commitment outside of self. Because the generations today, we're taught to be selfish.
Yes.
I got mine, I'm the only one there. Really? Sadly, you're the only one there. Mm-hmm. So your job is to make sure you're not the only one there.
That's good.
So these are the things that help permeate and put in us a way for us to look. My job now, I want our tribe to get to Africa by any means necessary. Get your feet on the soil, have the experience, whether you want to stay long-term, short-term, or build, but get there. That's the message. There's a popular song that says, get there any way you can.
Yes.
You see? Why? Because there is a certain enculturation that will occur in you and to you by that visit. Mm-hmm. And then what happens is, you begin to see the world differently. You see yourself differently. You see your surroundings differently. And it opens doors for you to see possibilities that you don't see right now. So I think that is really the key for the future for us and those who are going to be on the path for self-improvement, which means if you improve self, everything else changes. And they say change the people you're around or change the people you're around. So that means if they don't comply with being a higher human being, then you have to work with other people who want to be a higher human being. And what you find yourself is that what you think you know either becomes obsolete or you realize, I need to continue doing this. This is good. So, I'm hopeful about our future because I want to be a part of it.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Nana Valerie, how do we give we're a little bit over, but in closing, how do we give a legacy of love to the next generation?
Through our examples.
Oh, that's good.
Through the wisdoms that we give to our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. And, for me, showing the love, when I show love to my husband, I'm loving him. When I love him, I love Allah. That's, we create Allah. Everybody got what they do. I'm not, trying to go there for anybody, but I'm saying that loving him is loving Allah and not going to bed angry, settle stuff. And here's the thing, it could be not just with your mate, but with your children. If you don't know if you'll see them again, was the last words off your lip kindness, words of I love you, or was the last words of your lips something that you're going to regret for the rest of your life? So I say to each and every one, and even in this era of COVID we in, this is the Creator showing us that He's in control. People don't want to witness it, but because what He's showing us is that I'm in control, and that you need to take more time and tending to those who are close to you, loving your family, whatever it is that you think is unsettled, or some people can stay mad with people 20. How can you stay mad 20 years? Don't even know what you're mad about. Settle that stuff, because today could be your last day. Right. We don't know. So how your legacy, the legacy I want, and that we talk about is a legacy of love, first to love the Creator, legacy of loving other people, doing for others. I can't be sitting here comfortable and knowing my sister or brother don't have nothing to eat. That's not about comfort. That's about selfishness. So how many things are you doing to make sure that when you get to the pearly gates, you can get in? That's what I say. So the thing is to give an example that we can give them to carry on to the next generation, and also creating a legacy of wealth, abundance, to teach them how money will teach them these things, So I'm not going to get too deep into that, but, you should never stop growing and learning. When you stop growing, you're dying. Mm-hmm. And, just to continue to improve and love one another. Love one another. We got to love each other more, you all. We got to love each other more.
In closing, it's all in forgiveness. Papa Kojo said forgiveness. Right. And then 2, demonstrating your love. That's what I heard from you. Yes. Act it out. Don't just say it or think, well, they know how I feel. No. You can't take time for granted. Mm-mm. And as you said, one of the things we're learning in this environment is that we can't take time or each other for granted because we don't know. Nope. We don't know. Mm-mm. You all, first of all, listening audience, I told y'all this was going to be a powerful, and I told you this would be powerful. It has been my pleasure. I say this in closing with all sincerity of heart. I've told you all privately, but I'm going to tell you publicly now for the millions of people who will see this and watch. I absolutely love, appreciate, and respect the gift you are to creation. And I know what I'm saying, to creation, to our community, to families, to authentic manhood and masculinity, godly masculinity, authentic femininity, godly femininity. I appreciate the gifts you are. You all are trees that we can glean from. And I pray that we have many, 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 many more years to glean from you. Thank you both for being my guest today.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for being my guest. And thank all of you for joining me. Listen, this is one show in a series of 4, but if it's anything like this, You all know where we're going with this. We're about healing our community. One thing I will say in closing, Valerie talked about is wealth and how we prepare our next generation for wealth. Our first expression of wealth is each other.
That's right.
How we love each other. And then statistic has told us that we create wealth when we work together. So if this is any indication of where we're going, by the time we finish this series, we're going to be dragging the carts because we'll understand who we are, why we are, how we operate the way we operate, and why, most of all, the Creator has brought us here to be together for such a time as this. So you all stay tuned. We have more series coming. You don't want to miss it. Again, thank you to my guests, Zarrieff and Valerie Osman, for being my guest today. A legacy of love, a special kind of love is what we're talking about today. And again, I pray abundant blessings upon you all. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye for now.
Thank you for watching. Connect with us on our fan page on Facebook, Master Your Morning with Ms. Mogul, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Mogul Life TV. And visit our website, youcancreateyourown economy.com and mommyscreatingeconomies.com.